We're here on an initial permanency hearing. Excuse me. Mr. Albie's with us for the department. Ms. Ledbetter's with us for CASA. Mr. Turner's with us representing the children. Mr. Michelson is with us representing the father, Mr. Pruitt. He is not with us, Mr. Michelson. Were you expecting him?
No, Your Honor. I haven't been able to communicate with him. I received some new phone numbers from the caseworker and gotten a response from him.
Okay, he has not been with us very often. And the mother, Roxana Pruitt, is not with us, and she's not been with us, period. So this case was set for 9 o'clock. It's now 9:05. We will proceed in the parent's absence. Mr. Albie, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Ms. Erin Tyndall.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'll apologize. It's been a long week. I've argued a lot in front of the jury, and my voice is gone. So
okay,
we'll get through it. And where are they currently placed?
They're currently placed in Amarillo Children's Home.
And is that placement meeting all of their needs at this time?
Yes, it is.
Any special issues or special needs with either child that we need to make the court aware of today?
Christopher does have a discharge notice on him with Amarillo Children's Home. I believe the discharge is good or through December 22nd is when he will have to be moved. We have made our placement team aware of it. They are searching for placement for him right now. This was just due to ongoing and continued behaviors with him.
And is he getting, before he gets moved, is he currently getting counseling for those behaviors?
Yes, he is.
Making sure that he attends those counseling sessions.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
And we and the placement are making sure he attends all of those counseling sessions?
Yes. Yes, he is attending all of his counseling sessions.
Children's father, he was ordered to work services. Has he begun working services for you?
He has not. He completed a psychological evaluation and I believe one drug screen, and that is the only services he has worked on or completed.
When was the last time you had any contact with him?
I actually had contact with him this week on a new number, the ones that I sent Mr. Michelson. I tried to set up a face-to-face meeting with him. He agreed to it and then changed it several times, and I was not able to make contact with him.
Would you agree with me, because he has not been working services, that he has not alleviated the reasons for the children to be removed from his home?
I would agree with that, yes.
And therefore it would be contrary to the general welfare of the children to be returned to Mr. Pruitt at this time?
Yes.
And it would be dangerous to do so?
Yes, I agree with that.
We've been told that Roxanne Pruitt is the children's mother.
Yes, that is correct.
Have we had any luck finding Roxanne Pruitt?
I have not. I've been trying to e-file an affidavit of my efforts to locate her. I have sent numerous letters to addresses from our diligent searches. I've called every phone number I could think of. We did locate who we believe is her to be on Facebook. I sent messages through there trying to make any kind of contact with absolutely no luck on that end.
Would you ask the court to allow us to serve her by posting if we have not at this point in time?
Yes.
In the meantime, you're asking that the court continue us as temporary managing conservators of both children?
Yes, I am.
And that's in the best interest of the children?
Yes, it is.
As a witness.
All right, Ms. Tittle, you talked about Mr. Pruitt, but would it be the same for Miss Pruitt, that it would be a danger to the safety of the children to be returned to her?
Yes.
Would it be contrary to their welfare to be returned to her?
Yes, Your Honor, it would.
All right, thank you. I noted that that the one thing Mr. Pruitt did do was a psychological that had recommendations. Do I need to make any of those recommendations in order? Is there anything new that was not in the original service plan?
There was not.
Okay. And I read also wants phone calls with her stepmother, Anissa Fraser. Is there any problem with that taking place?
I do have issues with that because of these allegations. There has been some contention with that. I feel Anissa would try and question this. Anissa has also not participated in any kind of services to help with the original issues of the domestic violence and things like that were going on in the home originally.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll leave that up to therapists to decide if there comes a time that would be appropriate. So, all right then, Mr. Michelson, any questions?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Tyndall, the judge briefly touched on it. Mr. Pruitt completed a psychological assessment, correct?
Yes, he did.
Bridge. And one of the recommendations were medication assessment to determine the efficacy of the medication. Is that something in the process or not?
He has not complied with any of those services that would help with either counseling or medication type services. I tried to get him with Texas Panhandle Center's TPC, and he made a scheduled appointment and then was a no-call, no-show for that appointment.
Okay, and the remainder of the services, he either scheduled them and didn't appear or wasn't cooperative, such as the OSAR. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Turner. Any questions?
Briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Tyndall, you testified that I guess Amarillo Children's Home put a notice on Chris.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so that notice was from the home and not initiated by the department or something.
No, that was from Amarillo Children's Home.
Okay. Will the department try to find a placement for Chris as close to his sister as possible?
Yes, and I believe we have also requested it to be a therapeutic foster home rather than a group home setting. But I mean, that'll just depend on what is open and what is willing to take Chris in. Depending that will be.
At this point, would Asha stay at Amarillo Children's Home, or would she move along with her brother?
If we could find a placement that was suitable for both of them where they could stay together, especially if it was a therapeutic foster home, we would push to have both of them stay together and move to that kind of environment. If it is another group type home or even an RTC, then he will go and Asha will stay with Amarillo Children's Home.
I mean, you would agree with me that they are very bonded together.
They are very bonded.
And that Chris moving away from Asha would probably cause some distress for her and probably potentially for him too.
Yes, I do agree with that.
And so it's your testimony that the department will do what it can to find a placement where they can stay together?
Yes.
You touched briefly on Asha would like to have visits, phone call visits with her stepmother, and you talked about your concerns there. Would you be opposed to having those visits if they were monitored potentially?
I would say I'm opposed to it just because Anissa had asked me to be left off of the case. She did not want to participate in any services. She did not want to do any counseling. So I am opposed to it in just that I feel like Anissa has not acknowledged or taken care of any of the original issues, the safety issues from the home that the children were removed from. Also, Anissa has continuously backed Christopher Pruitt, the father, in that these allegations were completely false. And I would be very wary that she would try to question Asha. If we had a monitor or even a therapeutic family visit, they would need to be very, very aware and on top of that to make sure that that line of questioning or that line of conversation ended immediately.
She does want to have those visits, though, correct?
Asha would like to speak.
We're here on an ex parte hearing following an emergency removal. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram is with us representing the children. The father, Mr. McClendon, is with us, and the mother, Ms. Lopez, is with us. So, Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department calls Amy Bailey as its witness. Amy Bailey, when did the intake come in?
It came in on Wednesday.
Is that December 13th?
Yes.
And what were those intake allegations?
Neglectful supervision, that the children had been left home alone.
Okay. And based on that, did you interview the mom?
I did.
And is that Elisa Lopez?
Yes.
Okay. And what did she state had occurred that day?
That she and Mr. McClendon had got into an argument, that he had grabbed her by the collar of her jacket and was flinging her around. And so she left the home to de-escalate the situation.
And what did she say about a domestic violence incident the week before?
That they had got into an altercation and that Mr. McClendon had broke her hand.
And what did you observe about Ms. Lopez's hand that day?
It did appear that she had some injuries on her hand.
Okay. And where did Ms. Lopez indicate she was living?
In the home on.
And let's see. Through your investigation, was it found that both parents were saying the other parent is the one that left the children alone?
Yes.
Okay. And with the children this young, is it a concern of the department that these children had no adult around to supervise?
Yes.
And did the department have concerns of the immediacy of that situation?
Yes.
And did the department determine that there was imminent danger to the children unless they were taken into the department's care?
Yes.
Now, what is it looks like there was a recent CPS order to participate on this family. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that case was dismissed when Mr. McClendon and Ms. Lopez took the children out of state to stay with a relative. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, this time around, would it still leave safety concerns for these children if a parent-child safety placement had been implemented?
Yes.
And did you already ask the family for potential placement of the children?
Yes.
And then Ms. Lopez identified her brother, but was he ruled out?
Yes.
Can you briefly tell us why he was ruled out?
Due to his criminal history.
Okay. Where is Joe? And I might be saying this wrong. I apologize. Is it Jolise or Jolise?
Jolise, I believe.
Where is Jolise placed?
In an emergency shelter in Amarillo.
And are King and Jonathan placed together?
They are not.
Okay. Where is King placed?
Foster home in Lubbock.
And where is Jonathan placed?
Foster home in Lubbock.
But they are in separate foster homes, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is St. Francis looking for placement for these children to be together?
Yes.
All right. Under the circumstances of domestic violence and the facts of this case, would it have been appropriate to seek a kickout order on one of the parents instead of pursuing removal?
No, there's allegations against both parents.
Okay. And is it your understanding from law enforcement that when they arrived at the home, the children were alone?
Yes.
Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
Mr. McClendon, this is Judge Graham. Did you have any questions you want to ask Ms. Bailey?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Do you have video?
Yes, sir.
Okay, turn on your video, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, you go ahead. Ask her your questions.
Ms. Bailey, did you state a while ago that Alyssa stated to you that I broke her hand?
Yes.
I thought I heard a while ago that Alyssa was in the court. Are we allowed at any time right now or in the future, in the near future, to have her corroborate that?
Your Honor, I think Mr. McClendon is asking for legal advice. I'm not,
No, not
sure.
I'm not sure.
I'm not asking for legal advice. I'm asking, since she is present, is she allowed at this moment to speak and corroborate that?
If she wants to testify, she can testify, Mr. McClendon, but you can too. But right now I'm asking you if you have questions for Ms. Bailey.
That was my question. That was one of my questions. The next question is, she said there are allegations against both parents. Are we speaking of the incident on Wednesday that there were allegations against me then, or are we speaking of all the previous allegations And is it in light of that, in light of the hearing today?
Ms. Bailey?
The allegations were from Wednesday against both of you.
Okay, might I add what those allegations are?
Neglectful supervision due to leaving the children home alone.
Can I ask you to be more specific?
That's specific enough, Mr. McClendon. Go on, move on.
Okay, is it not true that Alyssa and you had a conversation? I'm not sure, within the last hour or two, where Alyssa directly contradicts what you said about me breaking her hand?
We did not discuss her hand an hour ago.
Can I ask what you discussed?
We discussed that she wants to come fill out the paperwork and that she wants help.
Did she not state to you that she was in full, she was holding herself fully accountable for the actions, even to the detail that she was in specific knowledge that I was not in the home when she left, and she did not complete motherly duties to make check of that or notice of that to anyone before she left?
She did tell me that.
Okay, no further questions.
All right. Lopez, did you have questions for Ms. Bailey?
Yes, I do.
Do you have video?
If I turn it on, it's gonna disconnect me from you guys.
All right, then go ahead then.
My question is, why aren't all three of my children together and they're all separate?
Because when we put in for placement, that's what was available. They are working to get all three children placed together.
Okay, my next question is, have y'all looked into the immediate family members I have listed for you?
I have spoke to the aunt that you guys provided, and she is willing to take the children and do a home study.
Okay, and do you know how fast this is going to happen? Because I don't want all three of my kids separated.
I do not know.
Oh. Okay, when can I see my children?
That will be set up by St. Francis. Have they been in contact with you?
No, ma'am. I have been trying to contact everybody in regards to where my kids are. And I didn't hear nothing about my kids until the 14th at 11:32 a.m. by you. After asking multiple times where they were, I was told they were in a foster care. I was never even told or mentioned that all three of my kids were separated at all.
Any other questions?
No, Judge. I also want just to inform you and enlighten you. I have informed Amy that I lashed out at Jonathan on Wednesday.
You're saying when you left, Mr. McClendon was there with the kids.
No, sir. There was an argument between me and Jonathan. I went to lash out at him and shut the door and was trying to basically fight him. He grabbed me, picked me up by my jacket, and moved me from the front of that bedroom door so he can take off and leave. I took it upon myself, Your Honor, and left my children there, knowing that he wasn't there. I left my kids there, and I take full accountability for it. Like I told Amy, all I want is either him to have my kids back, because he did not leave my kids there. He was gone long before I left.
Did he break your hand?
No, Your Honor, he did not. I broke it in the process of trying to lash out at this man. I need to, like I have asked Amy, I want to do these classes. I feel like I need counseling and I need anger management. And I need to find some coping skills and everything. And then if she can just place my kids with the Amy until I can get myself fully together, I will greatly and appreciate every single one of y'all. I would even give her my rights. I even told everybody that I will give this lady my rights to prove to y'all I do not want to cause no harm to my kids. I just want them with family or back home.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Ingram, did you have questions?
Questions?
Okay. All right. Anybody have further questions for Ms. Bailey?
I do have one more question, Your Honor.
All right.
Ms. Bailey, Mr. McClendon asked you if the only allegations you felt were against both parents was the incident of the children being left alone on Wednesday. Do you recall that question?
Yes.
However, do you believe that the domestic violence between the parents as well is a neglectful situation for the children?
Yes.
And do you believe that that also presents an immediate danger to the children?
Yes.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Wait a minute, ma'am. Miss Bailey, who is the aunt that was listed that you said would do a home study on? What's her name?
Peggy Newman.
Okay. All right. Ms. Gutierrez, do you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I don't. The department rests. We do ask for the department to be appointed as a temporary managing conservator of the children. We are in agreement for that home study to be initiated.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lopez, you said something else you wanted to add?
Yes, sir. How fast are they gonna look into this home study as my kids and the holidays are coming up and we haven't even seen them, talk to them, no nothing, and they keep saying that they're gonna set things up through St. Francis. Nobody's reached out to us about our children at all. We have been having to reach out and find out what's going on.
Miss Bailey, who is it with St. Francis that's got this case?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Who is it with St. Francis that has this case?
It is, spell the name. It's N-U-R-T-I. Last name is A-N-G-G-R-A-I-N-I.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lopez, that's who you need to contact with St. Francis to see about your kids.
Okay, does anybody have a phone number for her?
Your Honor, I feel like I could help get some information to St. Francis. Amy, do you have the current phone number for both Mr. McClendon and Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Okay, can you email that to me right now? I'm going to email the director at St. Francis and find out who the supervisor for that caseworker as well, so we can get on that and make sure that these parents are able to visit their children.
Yes, I will email it to you.
All right,
Might I add?
you're not your turn yet, Mr. McClendon. Wait your turn. Ms. Lopez, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, sir. I just want this home study, if you can, and if it's possible through you, have it immediately done and have all three of my children back together.
I have no control over how quickly they do them. I can order it expedited, and that may move it to the head of the line, but you're not the only one waiting on a home study, so I have no control over how quickly they can do them.
Yes, sir.
All right, then. Mr. McClendon, you wanted to say something else?
Yes, sir. I'll start by saying it's no secret who I am, and I won't put on a friendly face or facade. And I don't mean to be any type of way sarcastic when I say good game. You are speaking with the same individual, but it may not seem so after I speak today. Look, this is the type of game I played, and your language is speaking very loudly to me. And it has been since the last time. I've implemented every one of you guys' suggestions, and I just haven't been able to divulge some of the things that I have done because of the investigation surrounding them. But with that being said, my question is, as was last time in court, have any of these allegations of domestic dispute ever, even to this day, been proven or affirmed at all by any institution, even the Department of the Police?
I don't understand your question at all, and I don't even know who you're asking the question to. I'm not going to answer your question.
I'm asking the question in response to the question that the attorney asked Miss Bailey. she said that does she believe that the domestic violence has led up to a still neglectful situation. And so what I'm asking is, all these allegations of domestic violence, have they ever been, one, have I ever been charged? Two, have I ever been, convicted of any of that or found to be guilty of any of those allegations?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking Miss Bailey.
All right. Oh, you said you were through asking her questions before. I'm letting you testify now.
That's what I was asking. When I did butt in, and I mean to apologize to the court, but when I butted in, I was asking if I could ask that one more question.
All right, Miss Bailey, unmute. Do you understand his question?
Not fully.
Have I ever been found guilty of? Have these allegations ever been confirmed? Have I ever been convicted?
That's two questions. You ask one question at a time and wait and let her answer that question.
Okay. Let me conjunctivize it. Have I ever been found to be guilty of any of these allegations leading up to this incident, which is causing a neglectful situation for my children?
Found guilty in the court of law?
In any way, have I ever been found guilty of these allegations?
No.
No further questions.
All right. Okay, then. Mr. Ingram, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right, then. Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
If it to be in the children's best interest of the department, be named as temporary managing conservator. Obviously, I'd like to see them placed together, but I know they're working on that. No objection to the expedited home study. And second, Ms. Gutierrez's thoughts on reaching out to St. Francis, make sure we get visitation set up as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. All right, then, and based on what I've heard in the affidavit that I read, then I will sign the ex parte order following emergency removal. I'll name the department temporary managing conservator. I'll continue the current placements of the children, knowing that we're trying to get the children all placed together as quickly as possible and get visitation started as quickly as possible. I will order an expedited home study on Peggy Newman. All right, we'll have the full adversary hearing on January 5th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of January 5th to see what time we'll actually have that hearing. Ms. Lopez, Mr. McClendon, you have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, you have the right to ask the court, consider whether or not you're entitled to a court-appointed attorney. Do you understand that, number one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do each of you have the paperwork to fill out if you want to ask for a court-appointed attorney?
I'm not sure I do.
Okay. Ms. Bailey, or Ms. Gutierrez, let's be sure that someone gets them that paperwork, whether it be St. Francis or the department or whoever. So.
Amy, can you get that to them?
Yes.
Any paperwork? Okay.
All right. Y'all have to fill it out completely or I can't consider it. And then the best way would be to get it back to my office. Sometimes parents are given wrong information about where to send it. My office is at the Randall County Annex on Western Street in Amarillo. If you have an email address, you can call my office and you can email it to us. So, all right. Do each of you understand the right to an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you want to ask, then get it to me and be sure I have a good address, phone number, and/or email address for you. That if you qualify for an attorney, that's how we'll notify you who your attorney is. And then it will be your responsibility to contact that attorney to schedule an appointment. All right, then I will see everyone back on January 5th. We're here on an adversary hearing. We'll stand in recess on Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram is with us representing the child. Mr. Nowak is with us representing the mother, Ms. Patterson. Mr. Nowak, you don't represent the father too, do you?
I do not, Judge, just the mom.
Okay, all right. And then Mr. Stevens is also with us, the father. All right, then Mr. Stevens, if you'd unmute, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, before we get started, I need to admonish you that you have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, you have the right to have the court consider whether or not you're entitled to a court-appointed attorney. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to ask for an attorney today?
if I need one.
That's up to you. I can't tell you whether you do or not. Let me go ahead and tell you, you have that right now till the time this case concludes. So it's just up to you when and if you want to ask for a court-appointed attorney, and then you'll have to fill out the paperwork, and then the court looks at it to consider whether or not you're indigent and entitled to attorney at no cost to you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to ask for an attorney today or wait?
I'll wait and see.
Okay. If you don't have the paperwork for that, you can get it from either St. Francis or from the department, or you could get it from my office. I'm located at the Randall County Annex on Western Street in Amarillo.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then. I have Malia Evans in the waiting room and Ismar Triado.
Your Honor, if I could have Malia in, she's my investigator on this case. Isamar is a potential witness if we're not able to reach an agreement.
All right. Do the lawyers need a breakout room to talk?
I would love to talk to Ms. Gutierrez, because I think that we're gonna be in agreement. I believe, Teresa. I obviously I can't speak for Mr. Stevens, but if I could speak with you for just a few minutes.
Sure, if you can
if that's okay, Judge.
That's fine. I can put Mr. Stevens in with you, or you can talk to Ms. Gutierrez first, and then whoever wants to talk to Mr. Stevens can.
I'd like to talk to Ms. Gutierrez alone first, please.
Okay. All right. Do you want Mr. Ingram in with you?
That'd be just fine. That'd be just fine.
Okay. Let me get that set up here.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
We have an agreement from Mr. Nowak and his client that Ms. Patterson will work services. The mother, Krishna Patterson, will work services, and she's agreeable to be named a temporary possessory conservator. As far as Mr. Stevens, I'm not sure what Mr. Stevens wants to do, Your Honor. We can go forward with some testimony, and unless he's in agreement as well to those items, and the regular findings would be made against both parents.
Well, let me just ask you, first of all, where is the child currently placed, the type of facility, and city or county?
Malia, are you able to answer that, please?
Yes, he's placed currently in a step bed, like a temporary placement in Fresno, Texas. He is currently hospitalized, however, due to some suicidal ideations. But my understanding is he's supposed to be transferred to an RTC on Tuesday, assuming he's out of the hospital by then. I don't know the actual RTC, though.
Okay, but an RTC has been located for him?
That's my understanding from St. Francis, yes.
Okay.
Malia, Mr. Ingram has shared with us that he believes that RTC is in Katy, Texas. Is that correct?
I just had heard it was in the Houston area, but I didn't have confirmation of that.
All right. Let me just, Mr. Stevens, if you'll unmute, please.
Yes, sir.
Basically, from the report that I read, the affidavit I read, as well as what I've heard today, this is what is categorized as a refusal to accept parental responsibility. That's just a fancy way of saying that Ms. Patterson that Shaden needs more help than she's been able to get. She's exhausted her remedies to where to try to place him, and she just needed the department's help to try and get things under control. That's basically what that means. In the report I read, it said that you'd had your own medical problems and that you were just not in a position in life right now to take Shaden. Is that correct?
Correct.
So basically what you're being asked, we can go ahead and I'll approve the agreement reached with Miss Patterson that she's going to work some services. And really more than that, it's just to try to get Shaden some services to get things under control. You can either agree to that, or I can listen to any more testimony and decide what we do today. It's just what you think is best for Shaden at this point.
I'll agree with Krishna, and I trust her judgment.
All right. If you want to, like I said, at any time, if you want to ask for an attorney, you can fill out that paperwork, and I'll see whether you qualify as an indigent. So,
yes, sir.
Now, as far as this, what we talked about, that Ms. Patterson's willing to work services, the department may have things they want you to do too. Our next hearing will be what's called a status hearing. Between now and then, the department or St. Francis will come up with what's called a written service plan. You'll be able to go over it with them. If there's anything in there that you think you shouldn't have to do or anything you're not sure you could do, that next hearing, the status hearing, is when we'll discuss what should or should not be contained in both parents' service plans. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay, then I will approve that agreement that Mr. Stevens is agreeing to right now, as well as Ms. Patterson. I will name the department temporary managing conservator, name the parents possessory conservators. I will continue Shaden's current placement in hopes that we can get him into a residential treatment center next week.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've got, we are requesting the findings of reasonable efforts to prevent removal, and that we asked about possible parent-child safety placement, but it was, I know the technical term and the statute says refused, Your Honor, but Ms. Patterson indicated on more than one occasion that she doesn't have family that's willing to take the child. As well, there was a prior FBSS case with the family.
Okay. All right. I will make those findings requested about reasonable efforts on the part of the department not to remove. I will name the department temporary managing conservator, continue his current placement, knowing that we're going to try to find a better placement for him. We'll have the status hearing, the one I talked about, Mr. Stevens. That will be on January 29th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of January 29th to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing.
Okay.
Okay, that will conclude this hearing. We'll stand in recess. I appreciate y'all working that out. I think that's going to be what's best for Shaden. So we'll see you back on January 29th, and everybody have a good weekend.